Welcome to Tab Briefs, a weekly look at headlines from the world of faith for June 19, 2020. I'm Tab Media Content Editor Carrie McWhorter, and here are some of the headlines that grabbed our attention this week. First up, it's been a busy week at the U.S. Supreme Court. On Monday, the High Court handed down a 6-3 opinion ruling that the category sex in Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act includes sexual orientation and gender identity, therefore providing non-discrimination protections for gay and transgender employees. The ruling leaves employers with biblical convictions on sexuality open to legal challenges by changing the meaning of sex in hundreds of laws, according to religious liberty defenders. In the majority opinion written by Associate Justice Neil Gorsuch, the justices acknowledged they were concerned about protecting free exercise of religion for employers, but they provided no assurances for those who act on their beliefs in hiring and firing. Gorsuch noted Title VII has an exemption for religious organizations, and the justices have recognized religious institutions are protected in their relationships with ministers. Gorsuch also expressed hope the Federal Religious Freedom Restoration Act, known as RFRA, may supersede Title VII's commands in appropriate cases. RFRA, which passed in 1993, operates as a kind of super statute, Gorsuch said. But how such religious freedom doctrines relate to Title VII are questions for future cases, he wrote. Writing in dissent, Associate Justice Samuel Alito said the court's new position will, quote, threaten freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and personal privacy and safety. No one should think that the court's decision represents an unalloyed victory for individual liberty, Alito wrote. The court is expected to hand down several rulings this term in cases dealing with religious liberty. 2 cases involve the ministerial exemption, a legal doctrine arising from the First Amendment that bars the government from interfering with religious institutions' hiring and firing of clergy. Other cases look at insurance requirements to cover birth control, laws requiring doctors to have admitting privileges at hospitals near the clinics where they perform abortions, and a case in which the court will rule on whether used for religious schools. In other Supreme Court news, yesterday the High Court handed down a ruling that will shield young qualified immigrants from deportation, at least for now. The court blocked efforts to wind down the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, known as DACA. DACA grants legal protection to hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants who were brought to the United States as children. However, the 5-4 decision, written by Chief Justice John Roberts, hinged on a technicality. Roberts wrote, the court's decision does not decide whether DACA or its rescission are sound policies. Still, many faith leaders who advocate for immigrants praised the court's ruling and noted their hopes that Congress will address the nation's immigration system. When the DACA case was first argued before the Supreme Court last fall, 127 religious groups signed on to an amicus brief voicing support for the program. And a 2019 survey from the Public Religion Research Institute found that 63% of Americans overall support DACA. Majorities of every major Christian group in the United States, except white evangelical Protestants, also expressed support for the program. And finally this week, in a historic election, the Southern Baptist Convention Executive Committee elected its first African American chair. In a special called meeting on Tuesday, Roland Slade, pastor of Meridian Baptist Church in El Cajon, California, was unopposed for the position of Executive Committee Chair and was unanimously elected by ballot vote. Outgoing Executive Committee Chair Mike Stone called for a ballot vote, he said, to mark the historic moment, the timing of which he called the providence of God. Following his election, Slade said the plan was always God's. Slade said he believes God loves diversity because he created it. As chair of the Executive Committee, Slade leads the convention's fiduciary, fiscal, and executive arm. Those are your tab briefs for June 19, 2020. To read more about these and other stories from the world of faith-based news, go to tabonline.org. Or, if you prefer more video content, check out Tab Media on IGTV and YouTube. The links to both are posted in today's show notes. Thanks for watching Tab Briefs. Be sure to join us again next Friday.